Ladies and gentlemen, a lot has transpired since July 7th when Doug Mastriano issued his initial letter calling for an Arizona-style audit in Pennsylvania. We're going to talk about all that, but we're also going to talk about this story that's broken as of yesterday where the Democrat Secretary of State has now decertified the election equipment from Fulton County, Pennsylvania, because Wake TSI back in December audited that equipment, and now this is being used as a bullying and intimidation strategy as we head into a full forensic Arizona-style audit in Pennsylvania. So we're going to talk about all that, but first let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Noble Gold. Now, inflation isn't something we've heard of for a while, is it? But last month, the inflation rate in the U.S. had the highest rise for 29 years. You heard that right, 29 years, 1992. That's a big, big problem for all of us with food and gas and everything else going up, but it's terrible if you're planning on retiring anytime soon. You need to put an inflation dam up to stop it from wiping out the value of your savings and investments. It's not too late. Noble Gold specializes in retirement planning and IRAs, so their team of experts is your first stop, and make it easy to do. This month, they're offering a 1-ounce American Eagle solid silver proof coin with every IRA or 401k taken out. Not many people can relax when inflation is this high, but like thousands of others, with Noble Gold, you'll be okay. Visit our website at noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Now, you guys remember that Doug Mastriano on July 7th sent out letters to 3 Pennsylvania counties. This was Philadelphia, York, and Tioga, requesting their election equipment, their tabulators, their ballots, everything, and said that if they didn't respond by the 31st, then they would follow that up with some subpoenas from the Senate Intergovernmental Operations Committee, which is headed by Doug Mastriano. Now, apparently the strategy was to issue this letter initially to 3 counties which are diverse. You know, you have the rural Tioga County, you have York, which is kind of in the middle, and the heavily Democrat-run Philadelphia County, and the expectation was that Tioga would comply, maybe York would comply, but definitely Philadelphia was going to give us some pushback, and it would just make them look bad. And then we would issue subpoenas. However, this is not how it's gone down. All 3 counties have basically said they're not complying, and they're not going to turn over anything voluntarily. Tioga County said that the reason they're not complying is because the Governor Tom Wolf's administration heavily discouraged it. York added that there were no indications that the County of York experienced any equipment issues or anomalies during either the general election of 2020 or the municipal primary election of 2021. To which I might add, what the hell up, turn the stuff over, and stop playing partisan games. Now, Philadelphia, which is controlled by Democrats, of course, hasn't formally responded. However, a spokeswoman said that their attorneys for the county are still reviewing the request and added that this reiterates the claims about the November 2020 election that have been resoundingly rejected by courts. It says that the repetition of baseless claims by elected officials poses a real challenge to our democratic processes. It does pose some challenges to people who committed fraud and treason, I would imagine. Now, this has gotten tons of pushback, guys, not just from the counties themselves, but also from the Attorney General Josh Shapiro, who said, should subpoenas be issued, you can expect our office to do everything to protect the Commonwealth, its voters, and the free, fair election that was held in Pennsylvania. Yeah, we'd just like to see if it was free and fair, Mr. Shapiro, that's all. Why don't you show us your hand, show us your cards, and then we can say it's free and fair. When you oppose an audit, it doesn't look really free and fair, does it? We've had the Attorney General, the Governor come out and oppose this. We've also had a statement from the Department of State, which called Mastriano's plan a sham review and encouraged counties to refuse to participate, warning that if they turn over the voting machines or scanners, they should be prepared to replace that brand new expensive equipment before any future elections. And in a county like Philadelphia, that would cost as much as $40 million to replace all that stuff, according to the Commissioner Al Schmidt. Of course, this is just a bullying and intimidation strategy from the Department of State, a partisan effort to intimidate these counties from complying, saying that they would have to replace all the equipment, which makes absolutely no logical sense. Think about it. Okay, so if a third party comes in and audits the machinery, that means they're decertified and they can no longer be used ever again. Wouldn't it make sense to have the test laboratories that certify the equipment at least attempt to salvage the equipment and try to recertify it prior to an election before you go spend tens of millions of taxpayer dollars on an assumption that they've damaged the equipment? I mean, wouldn't it make sense to at least have the certification laboratories come in and at least try to attempt to certify the equipment, which costs $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, opposed to $10 million on an assumption? We're just going to go and say that the machinery is damaged without even checking and then replace them for $10, $40 million. I would like to think that anybody with half of a brain can see that that's what's going on here, but apparently not. Some people still buy into this crap. That brings us to today's story, the big breaking story where the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania has actually come out and decertified the equipment that was used in Fulton County, which is going to cost the county upwards of $2.5 million to replace. Now, why is Fulton County, Pennsylvania's election equipment being decertified by the Democrat Secretary of State, you ask? That's a great question. Well, it turns out that Wake TSI, a software company based in Westchester, Pennsylvania, who also has done work on the Arizona audit, they did an audit in December and early February and concluded that there was no fraud, that the election was actually well run and did not indicate any signs of fraud in Fulton County, Pennsylvania. However, they said there was 5 issues of note, 3 of which related to the Dominion voting systems. And now, do you want to know what one of those issues was? Well, it was that the system had Microsoft SQL server data tools installed despite the software not being part of the U.S. Election Assistance Commission certified configuration. Now, this Microsoft SQL server is the same thing that we found in Antrim County, Michigan, which allows for the, configuration of the tabulators to switch votes. Know that this Microsoft SQL software was found in Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So it's something that they do across the board. It's no wonder why Dominion then came out and told the county that they violated their contract in letting an unaccredited and non-certified company inspect their machines. Now the Democrat Secretary of State has officially come out and said, quote, "I have no other choice but to decertify the use of Fulton County's leased Dominion Democracy Suite 5.5A voting system last used in the November 2020 election." I think Fulton County, Pennsylvania taxpayers should be absolutely furious about this because it makes no logical sense. Now, we've seen the same thing in Arizona when the county and Katie Hobbs said that they're going to have to replace all that equipment that's been audited by cyber ninjas, which Karen Fann has responded with a very, very sensible comment. This is what she said, quote, "If their experts can't prove the machines have not been tampered with, then how does the Secretary of State's office or county elections certify the machines before every audit to make sure the machines haven't been tampered with?" I mean, think about it. If you cannot audit machines without them being damaged beyond repair and can no longer be certified, then I think we need an entirely new system. If you're going to go ahead and decertify these machines, you better not replace them with new ones. You better correct this broken system, and I think we should ban the machines, hand count paper ballots. How about that? That'll save you tons of money on millions of dollars of equipment. Then we can prevent the insanity that followed the last election. If we had a simpler, more streamlined process, hand-counted paper ballots, auditing would be much simpler if need be. Now, guys, let's wrap this up. So, a subpoena is Mastriano's only path forward, and now he needs to call a hearing in his committee, and a majority of the members need to vote on it, which shouldn't be a problem because it's heavily controlled by Republicans. This is the path forward because the counties have already indicated that they are not going to be voluntarily turning over anything, and a lot of that has to do with the intimidation and bullying from the Department of State, Attorney General's office, and others. And we should expect more of that, guys, but we need to push back on this. Taxpayers in Pennsylvania should be asking a lot of questions as to why do we need to replace this equipment, given the fact that the certification laboratory should be able to recertify the equipment regardless of whether or not a third-party auditor comes in or not. And if you're going to decertify the equipment, then you better not replace it at all because that's a waste of money, and this is a nightmare. This is a logistical nightmare. We don't want these machines anymore now that we know they have such a high potential for fraud. Now, guys, with this update, that's pretty much it for now. I want to get Audit the Vote PA to come on in the near future to talk about all of this, but in the meantime, guys, if you could just click like on this video, share this with a friend, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to support this channel, you can do so by becoming a community member for $3 a month on Locals. There's also the PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo in the description, and you guys can also support on Odysee with the support feature using cryptocurrency or cash tips. But anyways, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.